a species that never knew love. The alien world of Elora Prime orbited a dying blue star, its light filtered through violet clouds and crystalline skies. To humans, it might have looked breathtaking. To the Velarans, beauty was an irrelevant concept, one long discarded by evolution and culture alike. Among them lived Kalaris 9, a bioengineered envoy designed for logic, diplomacy, and survival. Her species had long ago eliminated emotional excess. Love, attraction, admiration, these were considered dangerous inefficiencies that once led to wars and near extinction. Kalari stood taller than most humans, her skin layered with iridescent plates that shifted color based on temperature rather than feeling. Her eyes, large, facete, and luminescent, were often described by humans as unsettling. Velarans never used mirrors for appearance. They only assessed functionality. And by Velaran standards, Kalari's was flawed. Her genetic structure deviated slightly from the prime pattern. Her plating curved instead of lying flat. Her vocal harmonics carried an unusual softness. She processed information marginally slower when exposed to unfamiliar stimuli. These traits mark her as inefficient, tolerated, but never admired. So when she was assigned as a liaison to humanity's first deep galactic research station, she assumed it was because no one else wanted the task. Humans were emotional, unpredictable, inefficient, and yet dangerously fascinating. The human who looked too long. The station Astra 9 floated between systems, a fragile alliance hub of metal, glass, and cautious hope. Humans bustled through its corridors with noise, laughter, and arguments that seemed unnecessary to Kalaris. She observed them clinically. All except one. Dr. Elias Rowan was a xenolinguist, specializing in nonverbal cognition. He was assigned to work closely with Kalaris to decode Velaran communication patterns. From the moment they met, he did something no Velaran ever had. He looked at her, not as a specimen, not as a problem, but as a person. Kalaris noticed it immediately. His gaze lingered, not rudely, but thoughtfully. When she spoke, he listened without interrupting. When she paused mid-sentence to process a word, he waited patiently. "This is inefficient," she said during one of their early sessions. "What is?" Elias asked. "Your attention. You allocate more than required." He smiled slightly. "Maybe I like understanding things properly." That word, like registered as odd, Kalaris logged it for later analysis. As days turned into weeks, something changed within her neural lattice. Her processing cycle slowed when Elias entered the room. Her sensory receptors heightened around him. She began adjusting her posture, unconsciously angling her plating to reflect less light when he was near. These behaviors alarmed her. She consulted the station's Velaran diagnostic AI. Anomaly detected, it reported. Potential emotional deviation. Emotion was dangerous. Emotion led to irrationality. Emotion led to rejection. Kalaris remembered her earlier cycles on Velora Prime, how others subtly distanced themselves from her, how her name was never spoken with admiration, only necessity. She was not built for connection. So why did Elias keep sitting beside her during meal rotations, even though he didn't need to? Why did he laugh softly when she attempted humor? Badly? Why did he bring her a human beverage cold tea because he thought she might like the warmth? The moment she learned what humans saw, everything changed during the evacuation drill. A simulated hull breach triggered emergency protocols. Humans panicked loudly, rushing through corridors. Kalaris moved with precision, guiding others toward safety. Then the alarm spiked. A real breach. The deck beneath them buckled. Gravity faltered. Elias lost his footing and slammed into a bulkhead, his oxygen regulator cracking. Without hesitation, Kalaris shielded him. Her plating fractured under debris meant to pulverize human bone. Pain signals, rare for Velarans, flooded her system. They tumbled into a sealed chamber as emergency shutters slammed shut. Silence followed. Elias coughed, clutching his side. Kalari's assessed damage quickly. Your survival probability decreased by 4 to 7%, she said flatly. And yours? He asked. Acceptable. He looked up at her then, really looked. Cracks glowed faintly along her plating. One of her ocular facets flickered. She was damaged and exposed in a way Villarans rarely allowed. I'm sorry, Elias said quietly. You didn't have to do that. I calculated that your survival had higher mission value, she replied. He shook his head slowly. You always say things like that, but I don't believe that's a real reason. Her processes stalled. There is no other reason, she insisted. Elias reached out hesitantly, then stopped, unsure if contact was allowed. Kalaris, has anyone ever told you that you're beautiful? The word hit her harder than the falling debris. Beautiful, she echoed. Yes. That descriptor is illogical, she said, voice unsteady. My form deviate from Villarans standards. Then your standards are wrong, Elias whispered. He met her gaze, unafraid of her alien eyes, her fractured plating, her unfamiliar form. You're beautiful because you care, because you protect people who aren't your own, because you're different. Her neural lattice overloaded. For the first time in her existence, Kalaris felt something she had no word for, a warmth not caused by temperature, but by meaning. Love across the stars. After the breach, everything changed. Villaran authorities reviewed Kalaris' emotional anomaly with concern. Emotional deviation was grounds for reassignment, sometimes termination, but humans intervened. Elias stood before the Interspecies Council and spoke not with data, but conviction. She's not defective, he said. She's evolving. The word echoed through the chamber. Evolving. It was a concept Villarans feared, and humans embraced. Kalaris was granted autonomy, a rare exception. She chose to remain on Ustra 9, not as an envoy, but as an individual. She learned more human words. Care, affection, love. The last one frightened her most. One quiet cycle. As stars drifted beyond the viewport, Kalari stood beside Elias. I have analyzed my internal state, she said carefully. Your presence increases my operational efficiency. He chuckled. That's the most romantic thing anyone's ever said to me. She turned toward him, her plating now repaired, but still uniquely curved, still imperfect by Villaran standards. Elias, she said, voice softer than ever, do humans believe love is possible between different species? He looked at her with the same gentle intensity as before. I believe it is, if both are willing to try. She considered this. Then, slowly, deliberately, Kalaris reached for his hand. Her touch was warm, not because of biology, but because she chose it to be. As the dying blue star of Elora Prime shimmered in the distance, Kalaris finally understood something her people never had. Love was not a flaw. It was the most beautiful evolution of all.